Hello everybody, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video where we're going to be discussing Elon Musk's thoughts on the real estate market moving forward. An article just came out from Bigger Pockets where they're just saying that Elon Musk is thinking that home prices are going to fall and they're questioning whether or not the world's richest person is right. So without further ado, let's jump into this article. I'm going to read it all the way through, and as I'm going through it, I'm going to give you guys my honest thoughts, and we'll just kind of have a good discussion about it. So let's do this. Elon Musk says that home prices are going to fall. Is the world's richest person right? So he tweeted, "Commercial real estate is melting down fast. Home values next." That's all he tweeted. All right, so that's what Tesla and SpaceX founder Elon Musk tweeted last week in response to a stream of tweets from venture capitalist David Sacks. In that series, Sacks claimed that the Fed rate hikes and the increased borrowing costs they led to are causing a slew of problems in the financial world, including a soon-to-be crash in commercial real estate. That latter part could certainly be possible. In fact, JP Morgan estimates that nearly $450 billion in commercial real estate debt could go into default this year. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley Wealth Management forecasts a 40% peak to trough decline in commercial real estate prices, increasing the risk of default even further. Does that mean a similar drop in home values is coming too? So, is there a link between commercial and residential real estate? There is, in a way. Typically, when you look at residential real estate versus commercial, in my experience, the residential side of things tends to move a lot quicker, and it actually forecasts what commercial real estate will do kind of long term. So residential real estate, what you see in the 6 months to a year happening, you can expect to happen in the next few years for commercial. Now, in this article, as you'll see, they're kind of depicting that residential real estate will not go down, and they kind of back that up in this specific article. But let's just jump into it and explain why that is. So on its face, commercial real estate and residential real estate seem to be experiencing many of the same issues, high borrowing costs and waning demand chief among them. But that's about where the similarities end. In commercial real estate, loans are much shorter than the typical 30-year mortgage that most homeowners get. This means most borrowers need to either pay off the debt or refinance within just a few years of buying a property. That's a problem as interest rates are now significantly higher than a few years ago. Throw in that regional banks, who have their own struggles to deal with right now, are often one of the bigger lenders in this space, and the risk for property owners only magnifies as those debts come due. So then there's a graph here where they show smaller banks increase lending to the office sector during the pandemic, and now all of those mortgages and notes are coming due, and because of where the rates are right now, the owners are not going to be able to successfully refinance into a smaller interest rate loan to then pay off the existing debt. And now they're going to be belly up, and so they need to sell at a loss. So residential borrowers, on the other hand, can often hold on to their loans for decades with no need for refinancing. And considering about 85% of mortgage holders have an interest rate of 5% or less right now, it's a real possibility that they will stick around for a few decades. That's crazy. 85% of mortgage holders have an interest rate of 5% or below right now. That's pretty crazy. And what we've actually been seeing in the residential world is that most owners have that issue where they say, well, if I sell right now, where am I going to go? I don't want to, be subject to the rates that are going on right now. So for most sellers, what's going on for them is that they have to sell, right? Maybe they're moving for a job or whatever the case is. People aren't just selling to see what they could get for their property right now. They are selling because they have to. That's what we're seeing. There's also the demand factor to consider. Since the pandemic, demand for commercial real estate has plummeted, largely thanks to remote work arrangements. Nearly 13% of offices sat vacant as of Q2 2023, an all-time high according to CoStar. In some metros like Houston, Texas, and San Rafael, California, the rate's almost 20%. That's insane. So a quarter, pretty much, of all the office space just sat vacant in Q2 of 2023. That dip in demand just isn't there in residential sector. Housing is a necessity, and while higher mortgage rates have resulted in a slight pullback from those with tight budgets, there's always built-in demand for homes, even with today's affordability issues. And I, foremost, can't say that that is true. We are seeing for most buyers. They are still wanting to buy. They're just trying to figure out the way to make it work with pricing and rates right now. So we're still seeing a lot of seller concessions come into play. That way, buyers' upfront closing costs are not as severe. And so we're getting a lot of buyers using kind of these creative structures in their offers to be able to buy something right now. So even with the high rates, there are still a lot of demand for home buyers right now. You could even argue that when commercial real estate demand drops, residential demand increases, as Redfin CEO Glenn Kelman tweeted at Musk himself last week. The loss in demand for commercial real estate is what's driving demand for residential real estate. People who work from home need more space at home. So Redfin CEO Glenn Kelman is arguing that the loss in demand for commercial real estate is actually helping residential real estate because people don't have a place to go for work. So instead, they're just working from home, and what that creates is a demand for housing because a lot of people have to upgrade their homes for more space so they can have office space in their home. I personally seen it. I don't have any clients that have done that, but I know it happens. So I could get on board with that. There's also the residential market's ultra low supply to think about. NAR's recent data shows just a 2.9 month supply of homes for sale in the US. A balanced market is considered 6.5 months, meaning supply and demand are matched. So basically they're talking about the absorption rate. Right now in the US, there's a 2.9 month supply of homes. So if homes keep selling at the rate they are right now and no more listings come on the market, it would take just under 3 months for all of the homes in the US to completely sell out. So that's still quite a bit of demand for the entire US as a whole. So that's pretty crazy. By these numbers, it'd take either a massive fall in buyer interest or a sudden glut of supply to cause any sort of fallout price-wise. And this is what we've been saying for this whole year, right? There's still a lot of buyer demand out there. Real estate's a supply and demand issue. At least in my local market, there's still a ton of supply versus the listings that are active on the market. So for pricing to just crap like it did in 2008, it's not really possible. And it's not really what we're forecasting for the rest of this year. We have seen price adjust and hit a lull. So I think every month over month so far this year, 2023, in my market, we've seen prices increase. Just last month did we see a $1,000 price deduction. So what that tells me is that we're seeing definitely a slowdown when it comes to pricing, and sellers are starting to become more realistic and get a feel of what the market's doing. So where home prices predictions stand. While many of Musk's followers agreed with his sentiments on Twitter, the bulk of housing experts aren't predicting a big dip in home prices anytime soon. The last Federal Housing Finance Agency House Price Index, that's a mouthful, showed home prices up 4.3% between March 2022 and March 2023, while the CoreLogic S&P Case-Shiller Index notched smaller gains, just 0.7% annually. Still, the long-term forecasts are positive. CoreLogic projects a 4.6% bump in prices by April of next year. Zillow expects a 3.9% increase across 2023. There's no telling how accurate these are, and things can certainly change, especially with a possible recession, we're already in one, and more potential Fed rate hikes on the horizon. For now though, the data appears poised in residential real estate's and in homeowners' favor. So that's the end of this article. They're just basically saying residential real estate is still strong due to supply and demand. This is something that I have been saying all of this year. When you have a lot of demand and not enough supply, it is not possible in real estate, because that's how it's measured, for prices to go down. So make sure to let me know in the comments whether or not you guys are more on Elon Musk's side or you are on bigger pocket side when it comes to the residential real estate market. Now I do want to make this clear, a lot of commercial real estate is screwed, especially office space. I know industrial is super hot right now, multifamily has slowed down quite a bit, but office space is screwed in commercial real estate. However, that doesn't necessarily correspond and affect residential. As Redfin CEO said, it actually could potentially even help residential. So make sure to let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also make sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video if you enjoyed the content. And as always, if you don't follow me on my social media platforms, you can find me at Cade Olaf everywhere. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Cade Olaf, and I will see you in the next one.